Eric Moore with Moore.com. Let's take a look at a stock here that has done very well over the last couple of months. AOSL. Now, irrespective of the ticker symbol, let's take a look at why the stock has done very well over the last couple of months. Again, you have to go to the monthly chart to truly appreciate. Now, here in front of us is a 2-year weekly chart, and of course we can see this acceleration high. Very nice template to study. So let's take a look at the all data monthly, and the one thing we can see here is this explosive move here over the last, let's call it about 6 to 7 to 8 months, has began when the RSI finally broke out to all-time highs. So the price breakout, we can actually even use, let's say, this monthly closing high as a breakout level to watch. Once the stock jumped above that level, the stock was breaking out in price. We see here confirmation of strength because the RSI on the monthly was moving to all-time highs, and at the same time, and more importantly here, moving above, scratch that, 61.8 for the first time ever. So this move above 61.8 was critical. So this is this period here, and also we can see that that corresponded very well with the MACDs jumping. So the RSI moving above 61.8 for the first time ever. We can see that both MACDs also moved to all-time highs, hence the reason why the breakout has been successful. Now we see this pretty much in every example we look at, especially the ones that have had a phenomenal run, and here's another example of a stock that has done well. So we can see, yes, confirmation that the breakout during this period here did meet the minimum requirements for the ultimate more, the breakout, hence the successful move higher. Now, while we already can see where the move began, we can also see that there's added momentum, an explosion in momentum here once the RSI moved above 69.1, and this corresponds with this period, let's call it somewhere here. So once it went above the $10 range, RSI moved above 69.1, and of course we've seen this gradual explosion. So again, the more it stayed above 69.1, the more we've seen this nice acceleration. Now if you take a look again, go back to the weekly chart, we can also see here this period here, once the RSI on the weekly jumped above 69.1, we see this acceleration in price action as a consequence of moving above 69.1. So that is also confirmed by the weekly RSI. And also go back to this period here during these lows, early 2016, and this corresponds interestingly with this breakout. So there was a breakout here, RSI jumped above this range, price moved higher here, and so when it came back, so we can draw a line from this perfect RSI entry. So draw a line from this RSI entry, and you can see what happened down the road here during the lows of early 2016. It went and touched the green line with uniform action, which is what we call uniformity. Uniform action back to test the ideal entry level, and that is where you see support corresponds nicely with these lows here. So that's one reason anybody who was watching this at the time, if you saw that support being confirmed by the RSI, chances were the price was going to recover, and it did. Another view here, as we try and just diagnose this chart, is we can also see that during this period here, this is uniform action below RSI 50 and back above it. And as we know, whenever you see uniform action below 50 and back above it, that tends to be a reversal signal, generally suggesting that the stock is going to test the highs or even go through and break out. This is exactly what happened here. We tested. Not only did we test those highs, we actually blasted through. Something else I also noticed. Now, something else I saw on this chart which I find interesting is if we take all that stuff out and draw a line, let's call it about 61.8. So somewhere around there. So at about 61.8 on the weekly, We can see here that there was multiple attempts to move above that, but every time we had uniform activity. In other words, if you extrapolate this level, what the RSI is doing is something like this: uniform action, rejection, uniform action, rejection, and then finally rejection. So all these three instances are uniform activity, and I think that is another way of looking at this. You can also call this a triple top rejection. And of course, after this rejection here, we had this rollover. Okay, also keep in mind that we had a price improvement here while the RSI was not really making any fresh highs. Hope that makes sense. So again, prices improving here week to week, RSI staying steady, not improving. That's negative divergence. And so draw back that line at 61.8. And again, you can see here that once we moved above 61.8 here during this period, the prices have generally been improving and recording new highs. You'll also see here uniform activity below 61.8 and back above it for the lows there. We touched 69.8 here for the lows there. We touched it here for the lows here. So not only has it been holding support above 61.8, every time you observe uniform activity below that level of 61.8 and back above it, you see this nice recovery and a re-entry in the stock price. Just one more other observation is if you take the lows line, the RSI lows, connect to this one here, extend it out, you can see again over the last couple of weeks we'd come back to test that line. We had a double bottom support. Since that support, so talking about this period here for the lows there and this weekly closing low, the stock has held, and then we saw this explosion. So lots of things we can learn from this chart as a template for a successful chart. Eric Muatho with Muatho.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. EACS.